That's the reason why in evolution, pigmentation devolved in order for people to be able to make enough vitamin D.
When did we know all this? 10 years ago? 50 years ago? When did we know this, or just during your research?
Well, some of this was actually known even 50 years ago, but nobody really took it very seriously because once vitamin D was added to milk, eradicated rickets, nobody ever thought about vitamin D deficiency because back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, people were working outside. People were playing outside. And as a result, they were getting more than enough vitamin D. But for the past 40 years, unchallenged, have been the dermatology societies telling you never to be exposed to direct sunlight. Even today, the American Academy of Dermatology still recommends never be exposed to direct sunlight. And in my opinion, that is causing a major epidemic of vitamin D deficiency. We've always depended on the sun for our vitamin D requirement, and we should take advantage of the beneficial effect and prevent the damaging effects from excessive exposure.
There's no question with some moderate sunlight, people feel better. There's no question about that.
No question about it. And it turns out that we did studies a couple of years ago and showed that when you're exposed to sunlight, your skin makes beta-endorphin, which is the substance that's also made in the brain that's responsible for runner's high. So we think that that may be one of the explanations. The second explanation is that you're making vitamin D and definitely improving bone health, muscle health, reduced risk of type 2 diabetes, reduced risk of heart attack, stroke, as well as common cancers.
Let's go to the state of Washington. First-time caller. Tom, you're on. Go ahead.
Yes. You actually already answered one of my questions. It was about the skin cancer. And then I'm a vegan. I became a vegan, stopped eating animal products because of health concerns due to diabetes and stuff you were touching on earlier tonight. But what I'm wondering now is there something – I'm not a big fan of taking supplements. So you said it's fortified in milk, but then I don't drink milk. Orange juice and other things, what – other than having to take supplements, what things would I find vitamin D in?
Right. So if you want to get vitamin D2, right, which is kind of a plant source, it turns out that UV irradiated mushrooms are actually a very good source. If you go to the USDA website, they show that mushrooms that are exposed to sunlight or simulated sunlight, which is what the growers are now doing, are a very good source. So you have to look on the label. There are certain manufacturers now that are irradiating mushrooms. It's a great source of vitamin D2.
Okay. And then you said something about north of Atlanta, we don't get enough sunlight in the winter. But, I mean, it's always sunny on eastern Washington where I'm at.
Sure. No, what I mean by that is not so much that you don't get the sunlight, but the sun is coming in at a more oblique angle through the atmosphere, and it absorbs all the vitamin D producing rays. So it doesn't matter if the sun is shining. You cannot make any vitamin D in your skin from November through February if you live above Atlanta, Georgia.
Fantastic. Right. Now, do you recommend supplements, Michael?
Yes. In fact, I recommend that all children, adults, be on a supplement. Like I said, children during the first year of life, minimum 400 units. I personally like to put most of my patients on 1,000 units of vitamin D a day.
Regardless of how much sunshine you get.
Exactly, because you can never become vitamin D intoxicated from sun exposure because the sun makes enough vitamin D in your skin, and if you make too much, it destroys it cleverly. For children and adults, they should be on at least 1,000 international unit supplement. You can go to your local drugstore for $8. You can buy 1,000 unit supplements, and there's about a dozen different national brands. They're all quite good. Take it routinely every day. It'll definitely improve your health.
What will you feel?
Well, you may or may not feel anything. If in the wintertime, like I said, if you have aches and pains in your bones and muscles, many of my patients tell me that they have dramatic improvement in their feeling of well-being. But vitamin D plays a critical role in preventing more chronic serious diseases. And with the influenza season upon us, there was one study done in Long Island that showed that women that took 2,000 units of vitamin D a day reduced their risk of upper respiratory tract infections by 90%.
Maybe it's a little like oil to a car. You know, the oil helps things move along, but it's not until you take the oil away does the engine seize up and shut down.
Exactly. I mean, it's a very good analogy, and that's the point, is that people think, well, now that I have cancer, I'll take more vitamin D, and that's going to help me fight it. No. What you really want to do is have vitamin D on board all the time to prevent you from getting cancer, prevent heart disease, prevent diabetes, and even reduce risk of chronic infections.
Yes, here we go in the wee small hours of the morning, Halifax, Pennsylvania. It's Wayne on East of the Rockies.
George,
there you go, Wayne.
Mike, is there any beneficial for tanning beds? And if there is, how long do a person
Good question.
get in a tanning bed a week?
Good question. Tanning beds, any benefits there?
Sure. It turns out we've done a study. We did a study in tanners here in Boston. They went once a week. I recommend if you're going to go to a tanning bed, go for 50% of the time recommended for tanning, because you still will make vitamin D. And it turns out that tanners in Boston had robust, healthy levels of vitamin D. They had higher bone density. I don't advocate tanning, and if you're going to go to a tanning bed for vitamin D, go in for 50% of the time and wear sun protection on your face.
Well, these self-tanners, which merely are chemicals and colored chemicals to boot, but will they help you with vitamin D? I don't think so. Will they?
No, they will not.
Okay. Let's go to Ontario, Canada. We've got Barry on the international line. Go ahead, Barry.
Hi, Mike and George. How you doing?
Good.
First thing, I work steady midnights. Have been doing that for 5 years now. I'm at work right now, actually. I've been taking some vitamin D, but based on what you're saying, I'm curious, first of all, how many units of vitamin D? 1, 2, 3,000? What would you recommend? Again, is the D2 or D3 any preference? And what about melatonin to help sleep during the day?
Sure. So vitamin D2 and vitamin D3 are equally effective, in my opinion. And I would recommend, if you're not exposed to any sunlight at all, that 2,000 to 3,000 units of vitamin D a day is perfectly safe and is exactly what your body needs. In terms of melatonin, you're right that some people find that if they take small doses of melatonin, that it helps them go to sleep. And like I said, that is not unexpected because your melatonin levels go up at night normally that help you go to sleep.
All right, very good. We've got just about a minute or so to go. Barry, if people want more information, thank you, Barry, for that call. People want more information, Michael, on vitamin D, what you do. You've got a book out called The UV Advantage. What do they do?
Sure. Well, I have a new book coming out April 1st next year called The Vitamin D Solution.
Why'd you pick that date?
Pardon?
Why'd you pick that date, April Fool's Day?
Yeah, good. Well, we thought that it was very appropriate for a variety of reasons.
Maybe so.
And so that will be coming out April 1st, and it has a lot of new information about vitamin D. But like I said, you can go to my website, vitamindhealth.org. There's several publications that I have, as well as an hour presentation by me. A lot of people ask me lots of questions, so I've answered them. So there's over 200 questions and answers. So they can get a lot of information from that website.
Great. Michael, thank you so much for the information.
It was my pleasure, George.
Well worth it. Fantastic. There you go. You got to take some supplements every once in a while. Stay healthy. That's the name of the game. That's why we did this program. We get right back into some of our very strange, mysterious, and paranormal shows for the rest of the week. For Dan